Just as I walked through the other side of the plaza here, I noticed this backlight scraping through the scene with this perfect bench set up, almost as if a photographer put it here just in this specific light in this specific moment. I took my friend and put her in the perfect position to be backlit by the sun and try and take advantage of this entire scene here while the light is absolutely perfect from this position. So I'm here, my subject is right in front of me, and the sun is behind that. In other words, I'm shooting from the shadows. Anytime I shoot from the shadows, it's gonna create much more dramatic light. And here, because I'm still blocking the sun with this tree, I don't have the sun directly in my frame, but it is directly backlighting my model. Why this is working so well is because I have what's called angel glow right around her, almost carving her out. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna open up my camera app here, and I'm gonna switch immediately over my 0.5 to show you this entire scene. Now, staying with this 0.5 for a second, that's not the most obvious choice for a lens when you're working with a model, but I think it's just such a beautiful scene here that can try and capture some of these long shadows and just create something a little bit more dramatic by moving around and trying to get just a little bit of that sun flare here. I'm gonna see if I can get just a little bit lower here. That's what I'm looking for. Now she's a little bit in shadow, but that's fine. I can pull that out in post. I already know that. I'm just looking for this really, really dramatic light. If I got any closer here, I don't have anything to block that sun. And so now it's just directly in my lens, and you see it's flaring out. It's just this big white blob. I don't like that at all. So now that we've worked the scene with that wide angle, let's see what happens when I switch over to my 1X from the same position. So what's gonna happen is she's getting a little bit larger in the frame. So what I wanna do now is sort of move around from left to right and hold up. There's a puppy in the frame. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Here's just a word of advice when it comes to photography. Puppies every time is gonna make a better photo. Okay, so the 1X you're seeing, I'm not really liking it as much. It's sort of not as dramatic as that wide angle, and I don't think it's really doing much for me from this position either. The second I switch over to a 2.5 here, I'm filling the frame with my subject, but I'm also getting a very clean background. Puppy, who's the best doggy? Puppy, come on, puppy, there we go. All we need is 1 second. Watch this, I'm gonna use burst mode. Puppy, puppy. Oh, there we go. So, last thing I want to do is switch to vertical mode and get in a little bit closer here. So cute. I love this shot here. I'm gonna try and get down lower and shoot up. I want to get that potted flower in those balconies just behind her. And look at that, just one more shot. Puppy, puppy, puppy. Oh my God, that is so cute. And the puppy had enough, that's fine. So what I'm gonna do now is work a little bit closer, and when I do, I'm gonna switch this into portrait mode because we are shooting a portrait. So let me explain what's happening with this portrait mode. What it's doing is creating a depth of field for me that's simulating the bokeh, or the out of focus area that would happen if you're shooting with the full frame camera, a much more expensive DSLR, and it's giving us a really, really accurate simulation. Now the reason why this works is because your eye is gonna go to whatever's in focus, and just as importantly, your eye is gonna not go to whatever's out of focus. The reason why we do this is because we want the viewer's eye to go right to our model. One of the most effective ways to do that from the perspective of shooting a portrait is simply to take that background and throw it out of focus. So portrait mode just works so well with the iPhone, and every generation seems to get better and better. So when you shoot in portrait mode, you're gonna see that word portrait on the top left. The cool thing is that now when you go to edit, if you click the edit on the bottom right-hand side here, it's gonna give you options that you wouldn't have had you not shot this in portrait mode. If I click where it says f2.8 on the top left, it gives me options to change the aperture. Now the aperture is just a classic camera, a DSLR version of telling you out of focus. So if I drag that slider on the bottom now, I get to take that background and turn it more out of focus Or I can completely bring that into focus too, as if I didn't shoot it in portrait mode at all. Okay, so look just over my left shoulder here. I love the color palette and the direction of the light in this specific spot right here. That yellow color palette is just this warm, natural, glowing background, and that's matching perfectly with that angel light we're getting from that backlit sun. This is such a cool position. I absolutely love it. So now that we have this shot in portrait mode, we're gonna get a little bit closer here and keep on working the scene in portrait mode. You're gonna notice a little bit of flare, right? That's because now that tree is not blocking the sun anymore and it's flaring into that lens. Now, usually that's not a good thing, right? We try to avoid that, but here, this works perfectly for the scene. So let's see if we can work this a little bit more. I'm just gonna get one step closer and switch to horizontal mode. I love how these windows are lining up at a little bit of a diagonal in this composition. Now watch what happens if I move to the right just a little bit. I'm not liking that blue building. You see that difference there between that yellow? This is such a different image right here than this image here. You see how I'm bisecting her head with that blue background and it's just not working at all. Now, if I move more to the right, I'm getting way too much of that flare here, and that backlighting is just way too strong. She's completely in shadow, that's not working. But if I move back to the left and I have her framed up perfectly inside this beautiful yellow building here, I might just try and get a little bit closer here and fill the frame with her beautiful face and that gorgeous hat that she's wearing. And you'll see what happens is that blurs that background out even more. And now look over my right shoulder. I love this shot here. Now, why does that light look so beautiful? You know, I'm lucky to be in this very position because I do have this wall. Let me show you. It's this yellow wall that's directly taking this light and pushing it back into the scene, giving her this warm glow. That makes all the difference in this shot, and that's the reason why we look at her, she's not completely in silhouette. If I had a studio, this is what the light would look like. There's always a great shot to be taken in any specific lighting condition. If there's no clouds, this works perfectly in this scene. If there are clouds, there's other scenes to be taken. So in this case, the fact that there's no clouds works perfectly in this scenario. That gives us this direct sort of rim light, what we call angel glow, and having that wall on the right-hand side pushes just enough fill light back in to give us this beautiful composition. And the fact that I'm standing in this very specific spot gives us this beautiful yellow wall, a nice soft glow, and the fact that we use portrait mode at the very end here works to give us a professional level portrait image that blows that background out and pulls the whole scene together. How cool is that? Now, before we lose that light, we're gonna keep on moving and see what else we can get. This video was a free preview of my Capture It All online course. In this course, you'll discover how to use your iPhone to literally capture everything that's happening around you. We'll talk about composition, storytelling, timing, photographing people, recording videos, time lapses, flying a drone, and so much more. If you'd like to use your iPhone to its fullest potential, please take a look at the full version of Capture It All. You'll find the link in the description right next to this video. So click on that link right now and I'll see you inside the full version of the course.